Hi and welcome to another yapping session. If you're new to this channel, my name is Matea, and a little bit of lore about myself. I'm from a Catholic country, so Catholicism is everywhere around us, but I was raised a little bit more rational. So in my teen years I was more surrounded by atheists, agnostics, people of that sort. Then I joined a non-profit philosophy organization that's more aligned to the theosophical thinking, and I started to change the way I perceive the world, and then I got more interested into shamanism, got really into shamanism, started researching things about that, and I started practicing witchcraft, like modern witchcraft, because I got introduced to neo-paganism by some of my friends, got into that. Time passed and now I'm practicing a practice that looks more like chaos magic than anything else. And I need to make a disclaimer: chaos magic is not wreaking havoc, doing evil things, or like witchcraft for atheism. It's more like trying to get to the roots of how magic works, like the basics, visualizations, trance states, sigils. And chaos magic practice doesn't have to look the same for everyone. My practice looks more like neo-pagan witchcraft, but someone else's can look like ceremonial magic, someone else's can look like Buddhist practice or some devotional practice or anything that you can imagine. And also one thing that's important about chaos magic that differentiates it from other practices is this focus on belief and belief systems. Shifting beliefs is like a core idea in the practice because you learn how your mind perceives reality and how it affects reality. You can see how it affects your practice in a certain way, and it's a profound thing actually. So that was some of my lore, and in this video I'm going to talk about the word supernatural and how much I dislike it. Unless it's used in a more fantasy setting, like in movies, TV shows, books, then it's referring to something that kind of makes sense in the context that this word is used today. So the word supernatural originated from the 15th century, and its meaning was very different than the meaning of today. It was referring to God, to something above, something separated and more divine than this regular world, because that was the mindset of the 15th century people at the time. And it later became more used in the context of everything that we cannot explain in the modern framework of understanding nature and reality. The most cases that I've seen the word used is in academic sources. Anthropologists in the 19th century mostly used it. Some anthropologists today use it. Historians of religion, historians in general. It's more used in the academic sense and by the atheists that never practiced anything occult. And also in the media fantasy settings. And why do I dislike the word so much? And why do I use it in quotations in some of my videos? It's because of the meaning that is associated with the word today that I think is not productive for anyone trying to learn anything about occult practices and spiritual experiences or metaphysics in general. Because the word has more fantasy media connotations. It has more CGI angels and demons kind of association to it, rather than actual subtle entities that you encounter in occult practices and on psychedelics and in trance states in general. This was the case for me personally in the beginning, because when I started my practice, I was expecting beings or spirits to physically manifest, to physically materialize in this world in order to be real. That was an association my mind made because of the way we use the language in this day and in this culture and in this framework of understanding how the universe works and how reality works. We're all trained to believe that physical things are the only real things, and anything that you can experience mentally or emotionally is just like your brain doing a chemical dances and bullshit. So understanding subtle beings or spirits becomes difficult because you have this preconceived notion of what they're supposed to look like and how they're supposed to be real in this world. And words and language are powerful. They shape how we see reality. They shape how we understand ourselves, how we understand our psyches, how we understand other people, how we understand all of our experiences and how we relate to them and what they mean to us. And that's why I'm deconstructing the word supernatural in this video, because I don't think it's actually useful in the context of genuine human experience rather than CGI stuff you see on TV or on Netflix. Which is why none of the practitioners that I have read from or have watched podcasts or interviews of have ever used the word supernatural other than in the context of commenting how the word doesn't make sense or just like quoting someone who said it. I have never once read, "This is how you invoke a supernatural being," or "This is how you communicate with supernatural beings," other than in maybe some lame videos from new agey authors or someone just making sensational videos that will get clicks. Also, one other reason why I dislike the word, because it has this inherent dichotomy between the natural physical world and something that isn't normal, something that isn't natural or real. And I think that has its roots in 15th century Christianity, because they used to see the natural world as something manifest, something we endure in, and the spiritual world, the heavens of the God, are something above, something different, something supernatural. While in most cultures and most societies in today and in the past, there was no distinction. Things that we consider supernatural today are ghosts or entities that we encounter in altered states of consciousness. And most cultures historically have seen those as a part of nature, as a part of experience, as a part of life. Separating those two things is a more modern way of understanding. It's a modern concept. But that doesn't mean that mundane and sacred haven't been separated in different cultures. That's a very common duality, but the duality of natural and supernatural is a recent invention. And for those who think that this distinction is inherently more objective because it's modern and it's created by the modern thinking mind influenced by science, that's just a fallacy of appealing to modernity. Not everything modern, not everything new is inherently better than everything that was created before or that people were doing before. It's the same logic as thinking that all the other cultures in today's world are primitive and wrong just because they don't have technology. It's very simplistic. Technology itself doesn't give you more clarity. Practicing empirical science with honesty and clarity can give you more insight. But not everyone does that. Most of us are not scientists, and most of us just learn information from the outside world and from those surrounding us. And there's quite a lot of manipulation in the media about what is actually discovered scientifically, what's new, what's old. And I'm not trying to be a conspiracy theorist here, I'm not pointing at any specific thing. This is just something that genuine researchers have warned us about for the past 100 years. And I have personally noticed it mostly about anything related to parapsychology or psychical research, in the way that Google and Wikipedia and Gemini AI kind of cherry pick and censor information. Like, for example, if you Google telepathy experiments, the first couple of results would be just like some small research in debunking telepathy. But if you know certain researchers that have done these kinds of experiments, like Dean Radin or Rupert Sheldrake, you can immediately find positive results. And all large language models today are prompted to favor certain answers. And this is not only the case in parapsychology, there's a lot of stuff out there that's kind of suspicious. And I'm not saying they're lying to us about everything, this is all a lie. I'm just saying that there's a little bit of tweaking, there's a little bit of sugarcoating things or making them seem worse than they are for sensationalism. And this media image is creating our perception of reality and how we see things. And this is why the word supernatural and how it's used in media today to describe CGI angels and demons and ghosts is shaping how we see and perceive and understand experiences in altered states of consciousness or in occult practices such as invocation or evocation. I have a little bit of experience, but there are people who have a lot more experience when it comes to evocation and invocation, and they will all say the same thing. It's not like in the movies. It's not like in the Dark Song where you have like an army of zombie demons coming after you if you do something wrong. It's more subtle, it's more internal, which is why a modern Western individual might frame these experiences as hallucinations or a kind of organized psychosis or something like that, rather than something real, something that has an effect in this physical world. And it has. There are many cases, not just anecdotes, but many cases where it has been documented that these beings or entities, or however you want to call them, or just energies or influences, have some effect on the physical world. And they don't have to levitate tables or do anything wow. They can affect other people's minds, they can affect cultures, they can affect the ways in which events unfold. And that's already significant for a human being. You can believe anything you want about what these beings are actually, what it is. Is it the collective mind? Is it your mind projecting and affecting the world in ways that we do not yet understand scientifically? If you want to understand them like I do as intelligences embedded in the fabric of reality, or the way in which nature unfolds, is up to you. But reality is that the way in which media portrays these things is through the lens of supernatural and CGI demons, CGI bullshit. And I think we all need to deconstruct the way in which our mind is conditioned to perceiving all of our experiences and reality in general. So, thank you for watching, see you in another video, and subscribe if you want to.